If you were to ask me what my go-to type is, I'd say shy cuties with thick booties. I'd say them poison types, my lad. The most underloved typing known to man. One of the typings with the least amount of gym leader and Elite Four representatives, being tied with ground, flying, and fairy at only 3 gym leaders or Elite Four members who use those types. So obviously this is a truth that simply must be made right. So I'm taking it upon myself. The poison type needs its Galarian hero, and dang it if I won't give it my all for all those beautiful poison boys out there. So first things first, we're gonna need a team. So let's start off with some rules for this poison squad. First off, no legendaries. It'd be kind of scummy for me to just throw in Eternatus and sweep 24/7, and since gym leaders in the main game aren't allowed to use legendaries, why should I be any different? Second, this team will be built for single battles, but later on I might make a backup squad built specifically for doubles, we will see. Third, every Pokemon on the team has to have the poison typing in some way, obviously. And lastly, I cannot use 2 or more of the same Pokemon, that'd just be boring. So those are the rules. I want to add real quick that I'm going to be making this team at least somewhat competitive, so maxing out the EVs, getting decent natures, decent IVs, etc, etc. I can't just be handing out badges willy-nilly to anybody, I gotta make it a challenge. So with all that being said, let's get into the members of this poison team. Starting with our leading lad, that Kanto Jelly, who gon' put you in his belly. So Tentacruel has access to a lot of really useful moves that'll make him a great lead. And with ground and psychic types being the biggest weaknesses of the poison lads, it'll be nice to have a Pokemon to at least combat those pesky ground types right out the gate. Tentacruel's stats are actually more impressive than I initially gave him credit for. He's got amazing special defense and pretty phenomenal speed on top of that, with an added decent special attack and HP to boot. My plan for this boy will be to send him out, throw out some entry hazards, maybe get some hits in, and try to get some status afflictions out there on the opponent. So his moves will consist of Scald for that stab water damage and a 10% chance to burn, Toxic Spikes for our entry hazard which poisons opponents upon switch in, Ice Beam for coverage against dragon and flying types, and finally Hex, which will be great ghost coverage to help deal with those super effective psychic types. Hex will also do double damage if the opponent is afflicted with a status condition, which hopefully Scald, Ice Beam, and Toxic Spikes will all be triggering. Now on to his EVs, or effort values. If you aren't sure what those are, they are basically points that boost individual stats of a Pokemon. You can have a maximum of 510 EVs overall, but each individual stat can only have up to 252. So every Pokemon can have 2 stats fully maxed out, and then a couple of points left over to go into a third stat. So we'll be putting 252 EVs towards Tentacruel's speed and his special attack, with the remainder going into his defense. Since he's already super bulky in the special defense department, I want to make sure he's out speeding and out hitting his opponents. His ability will be Clear Body, which prevents opponent Pokemon from lowering his stats. That'll be useful. And lastly, his held item will be a Payapa Berry, which will have the damage of a single super effective psychic type attack. So even if he gets blasted at the beginning with a killer psychic type attack, he should still be able to tank through it and lay out those hazards. So we now have our leading man. So let's get into some of the bulk that's going to really complement Tentacruel's own special defensive bulk. The next Pokemon going on the team is that Smokestack Top Hat Boy. So Weezing is a thick lad, his stats make that very clear. With that hefty defense stat, nothing's going to be pushing through this boy. That secondary fairy typing will give some real great coverage capability too. And with his ability Levitate, those ground types aren't even going to be a problem for Weezing. The game plan with Weezing is to be a bulky special attacker with some status and disruption moves. So we'll be going in with Strange Steam for that fairy stab damage, Flamethrower to help deal with those steel types that will be a big threat to Weezing if they're not taken care of quickly, Will-O-Wisp to get some burn damage on the opponents, and Haze to eliminate any stat changes in case the opponent starts going crazy with some sword stances. We want Weezing to be chonky enough to be able to tank some hits and deal out some damage of his own. So we're putting 252 EVs into his HP and his defense stats, with the remaining EVs going into his special attack. He should be a tricky lad to take down as is, but just to give him that extra bit of survivability, we'll be giving him Leftovers as his item, which will restore 1/16 of Weezing's health at the end of each turn. So Weezing is obviously one of the team's more defensive Pokemon. So let's get into one of our all-out offensive boys, with the Zapmeister himself. From his stats, you can immediately tell that Toxtricity was made as a straight-up attacker, especially with that special attack stat. So that's exactly how we're going to be using him. We'll be going with that old Toxie's Punk Rock ability to boost the power of sound-based moves. We're putting 252 EVs into that special attack and his speed, with the remainder going into special defense. We want him to hit like a tank with that special attack, and even though he's not particularly fast on his own, we want to try to get as much speed out of him as possible. His moves will be Overdrive, which will get boosted by Stab and by the Punk Rock ability, Sludge Bomb for that Poison Stab, Boom Burst for a super hard-hitting normal type attack, also boosted by Punk Rock, and Volt Switch in case we find Toxtricity in a sticky situation. And to add a final touch for absolute obliteration, we're giving him some choice specs to hold, which boosts the holder's special attack by 1.5 at the cost of only being able to use one move. But with a stat boost like that, I'm willing to pay that cost. Oh, and did I mention we'll be using the Gigantamax form too? This boy ain't to be messed with. He'll be extremely weak to ground type attacks, and unfortunately, he doesn't really have any options to deal with them, but everything else should be absolutely cowering in fear at the might of this boy's strikes. But what if the challenger comes in and just starts sweeping the team, taking out Poison Mons left and right? What will I do then? Obviously, I'll need to throw out the impenetrable wall. That is our lad. Toxapex will be the truest defensive player on this team. Tentacruel and Weezing both have great bulk, but they also have pretty decent offensive capabilities too. Toxapex, on the other hand, is an all-out wall and stall Pokemon. A shady tactic, perhaps, but poison types aren't exactly known for their kindness. So we're gonna be getting absolutely insane with this boy's stats, maxing out both of his defenses with 252 EVs each, and sprinkling those last little bit of EVs into that HP. We don't want anything getting through our Toxapex lad. Like I said, Toxapex is going to be walling out any Pokemon that poses a big threat to the team. And the goal is to have some status moves that'll do gradual damage over time while Toxapex is walling them out. So its moves are going to consist of Scald for that water stab and a chance of burn, Toxic for that sweet poisoning, Baneful Bunker as a protection move while also having the possibility to poison the opponent if they make physical contact, and lastly, Recover to keep our little buddy alive almost indefinitely. And on top of all that, we're going to be getting the hidden ability for Toxapex, Regenerator, which restores 1/3 of the Pokemon's HP upon switch out. And on top of that even, we're going to be giving Toxapex Black Sludge to hold, which will restore 1/16 of this little homie's HP at the end of each turn. So Toxapex is not going down easy. He's going to be walling out anything with those massive defenses, and he'll have plenty of options for some HP recovery. So we've got our lead, we've got our bulky boys, and our special sweeper, he's here too. So let's move on to what I'll consider my target win condition, which will revolve around my lovely ace Pokemon, and its very lovely supporting Pokemon, the Bug Boy himself. Scolipede has a lot of great things going for him. That amazing, oh my god, that amazing speed stat. And on top of that, his hidden ability Speed Boost, which raises his speed at the end of each turn. Oh, this boy will be a speed demon on the battlefield. And with access to moves like Baton Pass and Sword Stance, all that combined is going to make him an amazing supporting Pokemon for the main threat of the team, which we'll be getting to shortly. So Scalapede's game plan will be to get in there, set up quickly, and protect itself long enough to Baton Pass all of its stat boosts to the physical sweeper of the team. To do so, I decided to pump those 252 EVs into its speed and special defense, with the remaining going into his defense. I want him to be quick, and I want him to be bulky. I want him to be able to take hits and pass on all his stat boosts to the main threat. So just to be extra safe, we'll be giving him the Focus Sash to hold too, which will prevent any one-hit KO move from killing him from 100% HP, leaving him with a single HP remaining. So that'll keep him alive long enough to hopefully, at the very least, get a Baton Pass of his speed boost going to the big boy of the squad. His moves will consist of X Scissor for that stab bug, which will help immensely against those pesky psychic types, Protect to give a free turn of speed boosting, Sword Stance for buffing up that attack an absolute metric ton, and Baton Pass to pass all of those lovely stat boosts to a bigger threat. And who could that bigger threat be, I hear you asking? Well, none other than the ace Pokemon of this Poison-type team, and possibly my favorite Poison-type Pokemon of them all, the Slayer from Sinnoh himself. Our Poison Dark Boy Drapion is the ace of the team. And if you thought Toxapex's strategy was scuzzy, wait until you hear his. Drapion will be using that solid attack and speed stat to be our monstrous physical sweeper, and we'll be boosting both stats with 252 EVs in each, just to give him all the extra oomph that he might need, with the remaining EVs going into that already massive defense stat. Drapion's moves will include the devastating Cross Poison, which has a high critical hit ratio, and a 10% chance to poison, Night Slash, which also happens to have a high critical hit ratio, Ice Fang to deal with those pesky ground types, which will be Drapion's only weakness, and Sword Stance in case I'm not able to get the Baton Pass buffs from Scalapede. So as you can see, we're going all in on some hard-hitting attacks that have a high chance to crit. But wait, not only that, but our boy will be holding none other than the Razor Claw, which will increase the rate of critical hits even further, making both Cross Poison and Night Slash become moves that will be hitting crits 1 out of every 4 times. But wait, there's even more! To add to this devastation even further, Drapion's ability will be Sniper, which multiplies the power of critical hits by 1.5. So not only will Drapion be hitting crits like a champion left and right, but those crits are going to be doing astounding amounts of damage. Ah man, this team is lean, it's mean, it's scummy as a peen, and it's just the way I like my poison types. So now that we have the plan for the squad, it is time to... So our search begins with Drapion and Toxtricity. I happen to find a wild Scorpy with glowing aura, which means that at least 2 of its IVs were guaranteed to be perfect. Same story with Toxel. The Scorpy had perfect IVs in attack, defense, and speed. So literally everything I wanted. Plus he had the Adamant Nature, which boosts attack while lowering special attack. So this boy is kind of perfect. The only problem is that his ability isn't Sniper, but that can be fixed with an ability capsule, no problem. Toxel's stat spread was solid with a workable nature and our preferred ability, so nothing much to change on her, and just like that, we have our first 2 members. Next I decided to go for Toxapex, and my god was that an absolute beast of a task. Since we're wanting a Toxapex with its hidden ability Regenerator, we have to get it from a specific raid from a very specific den location in the wild area. Toxapex is already super rare in this den as is, and it's not even guaranteed that you'll get the hidden ability if you do encounter a Toxapex. So this one is gonna require some exploits. So you know your boy used the classic technique of moving that system clock a day forward to change that Pokemon den. Definitely helped things go more quickly, but my god, even with this exploit, it took several days to do this. Many hours of playtime went into finding this perfect wall. In total, I had to move the clock forward just shy of a full year. In all those days, I came across about 7 Toxapex total, only one of which had the hidden ability. But nearly 3 300 den resets later, we finally got our lad. Apparently, May 1st, 2021 is gonna be a great day for me, because that's how far I had to move the Switch's clock ahead until I found the right Toxapex. But anyways, that's the third member of the team here and accounted for. On to Weezing. I decided to try out breeding for this guy. Which was a mistake I regret to this day. The amount of extra hoops I had to jump through to get a decent baby Coughing was quite simply ludicrous. I managed to catch me a Coughing with that sick glowing aura around it, but his stats weren't quite up to snuff, so I figured I'd try breeding for some better overall stats. I don't have a good IV Ditto, but apparently Coughing is in the same egg group as Jellicent, and I happen to have a nearly perfect IV one from a raid. So my hopes were high, but the problem was, Jellicent and Coughing were both females, so I had to take a bit of a roundabout approach. So I bred the female Jellicent with a different male Coughing to try to get a male Frillish that I could then breed with the female Coughing. And this process took way longer than was necessary. I hatched so many dang female Frillish that I started to get worried that male Frillish for some reason just didn't hatch from eggs. But finally, after a chungus load of eggs being hatched, we got our boy, our literal boy. His stats weren't perfect, but at this point I don't care. It took me long enough just to get a male Frillish. That wasn't even the final step, I still gotta breed him with Coughing. So I then took the female Coughing and forced it to breed with this newborn child, and bada bing bada boom, just like that, we got a Coughing with some decent stats. And that is team member number 4. The last two boys are expansion pass exclusives, so looks like we're going to be heading off to the Isle of Armor, boys. Starting off with Tentacruel, I decided to breed for this one too, but luckily it went way smoother than Coughing. I caught me a female Tentacruel, and I just happened to have a male Cloyster with nearly perfect IVs from a raid, so all I had to do was get him to poop out some children, and bada bing bada boom, we had a decent stat Tentacruel not too far into it. That's member number 5. And last but certainly not least, our boy Scolipede. Since we're going for his hidden ability, we will again need to get him from a raid. This one did manage to be a heck of a lot easier than the Toxapex hunt. But unfortunately I did lose the footage, so just imagine a Rhyperior coming in, stomping a little Scolipede with speed boost, and then me just throwing a Pokeball so sexily at the Scolipede and catching him. And that's pretty much what happened. So boom, Scolipede right there, just like that, the final member of our team is here. So now all that's left to do is EV train these boys with the power items and the Pokéjobs, give them the right abilities, the right natures, change up their moves, evolve them, of course, and there it is. Our team of toxic killers is ready for slaughter. Fully EV trained, all the right moves, highest Dynamax level, and of course we gave Toxtricity some of that sweet Gigantamax soup, so he'll be ready to big boyify himself into a beast. So ladies and gentlemen, the team is ready, and challengers are awaiting. But who exactly will they be facing? This gym leader isn't just Musi Gamer, no. Where is the fun in that? No, they need to fight a real poison type gym leader. So may I present to you, Gym Leader Musi, aka Poizo Lad, and his gym's official badge, the Plague Badge. And with that, I think we're ready. The squad is amped, I'm amped. Time to open the doors to this gym, baby. All challengers welcome. Let's see what y'all got. Cue my gym theme song. Many battles have been fought, and with each one I was looking forward to the next even more. So far, we've had somewhere around 10 challengers, and surprisingly, only 3 challengers have gotten themselves the Plague Badge. The battles were a lot of fun. This team was a blast to play with, and everybody brought in some really cool teams, really interesting teams. Some people even brought in their own gym teams. Aqua came in with his electric boys. We had Octavio bringing in them water boys. It was all around a really fun time, and I'm looking forward to more battles. And if you're wanting to challenge the Poison Gym, well, just stop by the channel on Sunday afternoons. I stream every Sunday starting at 11 a.m. Central Time. Stop on by sometime and take a shot at besting old Poison Lad. And heck, if you want to be a gym leader too, then go ahead and join my Discord, link in description, and let us know. Me and some of the members of this community are actually making a little Pokemon League of our own. Anyone is more than welcome to join. Just pick a type, follow the rules I laid out at the beginning of this video, and come have some fun with us. We're not taking it too seriously, we're just kind of having fun, but we'll get some good things going. But that has been the rise of the poison type gym leader of the Galar region. So everybody, have a lovely evening. Poison Lad out!